welcome to the show. You're my first guest. How do you feel about that?
I
Privileged?
feel, yeah, I feel honored. I'm excited to see where the podcast goes and all the other episodes after me. But obviously, this is probably going to be the best one because I'm here. Probably going to be the best one because I'm here.
Flag fell down. You know what it was? I heard a door slam and then the flag came down. I was like, for God's sake.
Your face, I can't just.
Hello, sweets, and welcome to the Birmingham Queerporium, the show where we exchange ideas and thoughts based on the wonderful Birmingham LGBTQ plus community. I am your host, Sam Merricks, and I'm joined by my dearest friend, Simone. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, yeah, I'm Simone and I'm here to give my 2 cents on the topic today. I'm a music journalist, a music industry student, and I try and push diversity through all parts of my work. So I'm really excited to be here today.
Was gonna say you're my first ever guest on the show. The best kind of privilege out there.
Yeah, I feel very, very what?
Was you gonna
Privileged.
say Pringles?
I don't know what just happened. I feel very privileged to be here today, yeah, as your first guest.
Bless you. I'm glad you could join me today. We're gonna start off a bit differently because with the tragic events of Sarah Everard, I thought we should probably discuss that because it's of recent news and it's something that's blown up a lot considering women's safety out on the streets and like men being predatory is brought to light.
Yeah.
So like I guess like we should just like comment on the situation really. Like I mean personally it's not for me to comment on because I'm a man, but in the sense like it's like I hate seeing comments on the matter that are just like the toxic men just saying like, oh, not all men are doing this, and like that survey with like 97% of women have been harassed, and like I've seen comments under that from men saying like, oh, they're clearly lying. I'm like, it's not about you.
Yeah, yeah. Um I think with things like that, the 97% and people not thinking that it's that high or that they're lying, I think part of it is down to it doesn't have to be all out assault to be
Hmm.
considered harassment. I don't know any woman that hasn't been harassed by a man, and it's little things just like walking down the street and having a group of men catcalling you, or men in a car stopping to say something to you. That's happened to me so many times to the point where you do feel uncomfortable walking on your own. It's happened to me when I've been walking with another man, and men in a car have literally stopped like halfway in the road to make comments to me.
Hmm.
And I think, what men need to realize is that how uncomfortable that makes people feel, and it's not a compliment to make someone feel like that when they're just going out on their day-to-day life.
Yeah, definitely. Like I've even though this case is based on like a cis woman, like I fear to a point with like trans women as well, because I especially and like
Yeah.
people within our community who have been harassed. Like, if you recall the story of the women, like that infamous photo of them on the bus, like being like half beaten, the face, if you can
Yeah.
recall that, then
Yeah.
like that was just tragic to see. Like, just like harassment in general just should not exist. It's purely, in my opinion, a superiority like complex of like someone
Yeah.
feeling better than themselves to the point where they make others uncomfortable.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's it's a sense of entitlement that comes from toxic masculinity, that you're entitled to have a woman's attention, you're entitled to have, like, even if it's things like in a club, for example, when a guy would come up to you, try and chat you up, and if you're like no, you get worried about how they're going to react to that, because they do have that sense of entitlement. And like you said, like with trans women, it's even worse for them, because it's a lot more dangerous. You know, if you look at the statistics of like abuse that trans women get, it is genuinely scary to it's scary as a woman to live in this world. And that might sound a bit dramatic or a bit, you know, over the top, but it genuinely is, because as soon as you leave the house, you have all these things in the back of your mind, like, don't walk with headphones on, have the keys between your fingers,
Yeah.
make sure that people know where you're going, what route you're going. And, you know, Sarah did all those things, and this still happened to her by a police officer as well, somebody that you're meant to
Yeah.
trust. And, you know, and it was in daylight. So to see all the victim blaming that has come from this, when she did everything that you're trying to blame victims for not doing, and this still happened to her.
Yeah, exactly. Like you always hear like news stories like why was she out so late, and like why didn't she wear bright clothing? How about questioning why was that man even doing that in the first place, instead of like making up excuses on the victim's part, instead of like blaming the person responsible for doing it, for even doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, you know, one of the things that, I mean, this case has brought out a lot of difficult conversations and questions, but I think another important thing that needs to be discussed is how somebody in that position, i.e. the police officer, can do that. Like, there needs to be a look into this man's history and how he was allowed to get to that point of killing somebody. Because, you know, not to make this like a true crime podcast, but I think what usually is often the case is that these people have a history of violence against women, and it's usually overlooked, or they're usually not charged with anything. And then they get charged or caught when it's too late, and they've done something really, really drastic.
Yeah, like you said, there should be more proper investigation on the matter. But I sure I'll speak for you as well that we send thoughts and prayers to the family,
Yes, definitely.
definitely. But yeah, back on course to today's topic. Simone, would you like to introduce the topic? You thought of the topic?
Yeah, so today's topic is uh first impressions and expectations, and specifically to do with dating apps. I chose this topic because one of the things that used to annoy me the most about dating apps, and there's a lot, because dating apps are awful. They're good, they're fun, but they're awful.
Yeah.
Is that the impressions that people get based off of your photos, especially. And I know that's the whole purpose of a dating app, really, is to look at somebody's photo, and you do make assumptions, but it's the kind of assumptions that some people make that I thought would be an important and funny topic for today.
No, it's definitely a great topic. I'm sure like loads of viewers can relate to the topic as well, especially in our community where like we have loads of like stereotypical like narratives as such.
Yeah,
Like for instance, I'm designated like femboy, even though
yeah.
I haven't shaved for a while, but I don't know don't know how that comes across. But
Yeah,
yeah, like I don't want to say target audience because it's not targeted like I don't target myself to that audience, but I get loads of like creepy people saying, "Oh, could you like cross dress and wear a wig for me?" And I'm like, no.
Yeah, it's funny how just from your photos, people make really obscene sexual assumptions about you just based on your appearance. Like we've spoken about this before, um how a lot of people would just assume that I'm into like BDSM or that I'm some kind of dominatrix based on like the way that I dress and stuff in my photos. Like it's funny in one way, but
Mm.
it's also kind of like when they've had no conversation with you and it's like one of the first things that they say to you is something to do with that. It's kind of like you're just stereotyping me based on my clothes of what you think I'm going to be like.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I can't remember my Tinder bio off the top of my head, but I'll show it to the viewers because I'm kind. And if you want to see a tragic mess, there you go. But yeah, I think in my case, like I don't project my femininity that much, purely because like it sounds sad in a way that I just kind of like hide it, but like
Yeah.
at the same time, like it's met with such like I want to say like distaste, even by our own community, like especially on Grinder. Like I see like loads of bios saying like straight acting only and stuff like that. I'm like, well, if you're straight acting, why are you on Grinder?
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah,
like, is it that like fragile for you for someone to be like that feminine?
yeah. I mean, I can't from from a perspective of like the ladies, um, I do think it goes into that side as well with like bisexual women and lesbians, that there is a kind of when it comes to like really feminine lesbians and bisexual women, they do get treated differently. It's kind of like, oh, okay, I prefer like butch women, things like that. And I suppose it's the same for men as well in the community.
Yeah, I feel like at a point it becomes like at a point it becomes like harassment, but they see it as like fetish. I can't say the word fetishizing. That's the one.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I get what you mean. It's kind of like at least have a conversation first to see
Yeah.
if somebody's actually like that. Because if you don't find that attractive, then after a conversation you can just, be like, okay, I'm not interested anymore. I found out what I needed to know.
Yeah. I just, not gonna lie, I just thought of like a dating app idea off the top of my head.
Okay.
I don't know what I'd call it, but like, there's probably an app already that exists like this. But like, because I feel like dating apps are very like centered on like what you look like before you even talk to them. Why not reverse
Yeah.
it? The photos are like anonymous, and you have to talk for like so long until like the photos are released of each other.
Oh, that would be fun.
I'm putting the
That would be
patent in
really
now. I don't want
fun.
anyone to copy
Yeah.
that.
That's your $1 million idea right there. That's actually really, I mean, that would be so scary, but also like I think that would be a good social experiment.
It would. It would. So if this show fails, I've got back.
Yeah.
So if I say something controversial or I get cancelled, I got a backup idea.
Oh my God.
But no, yeah, as I was saying, like I believe like dating apps are very like photo orientated and like very like face based. That can that could be what
Yeah.
the dating app's called. But no, like I honestly think like it's always like face first, then you look in the bio to see what they're like.
Yeah. 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 Because it's kind of like, obviously you've got to be physically attracted to the person,
Hmm.
but I don't know about you, but for me, somebody becomes more attractive to me the more I get to know them, or the less attractive to me. Like, if you could be the most good looking person in the world,
I
but
try to
then
be.
your person, Don't we all, Sam? Don't we all? But as soon as, you know, if your personality doesn't match up to that, that's it. Like, I don't see you as attractive anymore. Like, it just ruins it. It's kind of like if you were talking to someone and then found out they were a Tory or something. It's just like, okay,
No, I
just
got you,
completely
mean.
ruined.
No, literally, like you said, like you could be like the most like gorgeous person in the world, but you could be an arsehole.
Yeah, so it's what would be a more vanilla version of your app would be, even if they just change the layout of people's profiles. So if you had to look at the bio
Mm,
before you could scroll down to the pictures, but you had to actually read it, like maybe it was timed or something before the pictures unblurred, just so that it took away the initial, oh, you're blonde, I don't like people with blonde hair, when
mm.
they could be a soulmate for you, you know, and you're just not swiping right for them because they've got blonde hair.
Yeah, I was just thinking like you should like people on the bios and like the photos will come after like you like them if it's like a match.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's go into
because
partnership.
yeah, I see why I'm your first guest now.
It's like public business plan. This is we'll go on Dragon's
Yeah.
Den.
But yeah, like when I was on Tinder, I haven't been on Tinder for like over a year now. But when people didn't have anything in their bios, I wouldn't swipe right for them because I'm like, what?
Mm,
I don't know anything about you. I can't even start a conversation with you because I don't know, you
anything.
know. Yeah, because if I would message people first, I'd try and take something out of their bio. So it wasn't just a hi, how are you? I'm good, thanks, how are you? Kind of conversation, because I'm too awkward to be able to get out of that. So I need something. I need to know a bit of your personality before I can even talk to you.
Yeah, I think in my bio, I think it goes like rose and vodka, like the key to my heart.
Oh my God, I love
Like I
that.
try and start with something like witty but like relatable. So like
Yeah,
I feel like putting stuff like that in like your bio kind of like puts like people's like shields down a bit. I'd be like, okay, like this guy's chill.
yeah. I think mine was, do you know the Vine girl, you're thicker than a bowl of oatmeal?
Yeah.
That, I think that
Yes.
was mine. And do you know what? It actually, I mean, obviously, I met my boyfriend off Tinder, so it worked. But the amount of Vine references that people would like message me with, I was like, this is a great bio because like you're having a laugh from the beginning.
Yeah.
So, you know, anyone listening and watching this, feel free to take that because it
I
works.
think I'm gonna use it now. I think like a reference I have in my bio, I think I put it in recently. It's that TikTok sound of like, I just wanna be appreciated.
Oh,
That's in my
oh,
bio. So it's
yeah.
just like it's too true. I just want to be
Yeah.
appreciated.
Oh, that's so cute.
And it's got the like that emoji with like the like kind of like the simp emoji.
Oh, with the big
Yeah,
eyes,
with the big
the little
like
cute
sparkling
one.
eyes.
Yeah.
I'm tragic. I'm tragic.
I love that. How's that been working for you?
Well, spill the tea, sis. But whew, I think I could do a whole episode based on that, to be quite honest.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe next time. But like the short story of it, it's very swing and miss, let's just say. But no, my dating life is pretty much friend zone. We talk for a month, or I get ghosted.
Yeah,
All of which
yeah,
with no like justification.
yeah. I feel that. That's why it was funny because when I started talking to my boyfriend on Tinder, I was at the point where I was like, I hate Tinder. I hate talking to people on Tinder. I want to delete the app because everyone is just awful. And then we started talking, and I think it was like a sign that I just needed to hold on just for a little bit longer to find the like somebody who wasn't horrible.
Hmm.
Because before that, oh my God, I mean, let's not get into my entire dating history because that would just be really depressing. But it
I mean,
was
you
a
asked
lot
about
of
mine. That's
it
just as
was
depressing.
it was a lot of, oh, we'll talk for like a few days, then they just stop replying. Things like that. It's just like, what have I done? Like, I'm amazing, I'm funny.
You
Like,
are. You are
thank
amazing.
you, thanks. But it's just like, why have you just stopped talking to me? Or it would be, and this used to annoy me so much, when you've matched and you'd message them and they don't reply, and I was like, what is the point of matching me then if you're not going to reply? That was like one of my biggest pet peeves of dating apps, is when people used to do that.
Oh, I knew where he was gonna go when you started saying it. I was just like, yes. It's like
Yeah.
worse on like, it's definitely for like, well, all of them really, but like the worst for me is probably like Bumble.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
even though like you meant to have like 24 hours like for them to get back to you, even though you've matched, I think.
Yeah.
And like even then they don't get back to you. So I was like, what's the point of even liking me if you're not
Yeah.
gonna respond?
And with Bumble as well, is that it the woman is meant to
Yes,
message first. So if I was messaging a guy and they didn't reply, that made even less sense, because I have to message you first. So
exactly.
it's not like what do you expect to happen? I don't get what the point is of you being on this app if you're not going to reply to people who message you.
Exactly. Like I think I have to answer first as well, like on my settings. Like I don't know how it
Oh,
works
okay.
for LGBT relations, but like
Yeah.
I have to message first myself, and it's just like streams of like, hey, hey, hey. You could make a song out
Yeah.
of it. To be
Yeah.
fair,
Yeah. When I had, cause, do you know, one thing I noticed is that the people on Bumble were better than Tinder. Like, in terms of, they were more, I feel like Tinder's more a lot of immature people,
mm,
because it's kind of still seen as a hookup app, whereas Bumble
mm,
is more I mean, don't get me wrong, you still get like fuck boys and stuff on
yeah,
Bumble, but like, I don't know if it's just in my head, but they seem like different kinds of people. But it still happened on Bumble. You'd have a conversation, it'd be going great, and then just nothing. And I'm like, and then have you ever been in a situation where you spoke to one person on one app, they've ghosted you, then you've seen them on another app and you've matched, and then they either don't message you or they just act like you've never spoken to them before?
oh
Because that
god,
used to
yeah.
happen to me so often. And I'm like, I don't know if you've genuinely forgotten or you're trying to act like you're trying to see if I'm going to mention the fact that you ghosted me before.
Oh, it's definitely happened to me. Like it's interesting, like especially like when it comes to like Grinder, and you find them on someone else. Because I've like Grinder's like more traditionally like associated with like hookup culture.
Yeah.
But like seeing them like on like Tinder, for instance, like it's interesting to see if like they're the same like kind of like person as they are on Grinder.
Yeah.
Like say if like I feel like I agree with your point that I think Bumble's more like relationship wise than Tinder, because I think Tinder's on like the it's like the line of like hookup and like romance.
Yeah.
But if we took like Bumble and Grindr for instance, like seeing someone like act on Grindr, seeing them on Bumble and how they react to me, I believe would be different.
That's really interesting. Do you think that they would kind of portray themselves differently on the apps?
It's an interesting point, but I think it just comes down to people's intentions really of like what they want.
Yeah.
Because like if like someone asked me like what are you looking for, I would like my common answer, like I get this asked on Grindr a fair bit because like I don't know what to say because I'm scared of like what the person's gonna say.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like I just say like oh like something cute, like something like meaningful. Then I put but like because I want to defend myself here. I'm open to anything. Th-
Yeah.
Then like you get the occasional guy saying like fun. full stop. I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that would happen to me with like it again it would always be the men I don't think it's ever happened with like a woman or a non-binary person or anything. It's always been like cis men that do this. But they'll ask that question, and even when it's the time that I wasn't looking for a relationship, I was just like, oh, something casual or whatever. They think that, okay, so that means every conversation has to be sexual or something like that. And I'm just there like, no, you can have normal conversations. It doesn't have to mean we're dating. You could ask how my day was. And that I used to just block those people because it's just like, I don't know how you can talk to someone and purely just talk about the same thing over and over. Like, that is such a boring conversation. And it's like, casual can mean that we're friends, or
Yeah.
we don't even have to be friends. Just talk to me like a human, talk to me like a normal person. And that just never happened. It never happened unless you were like, I want a relationship. But even then, there'd be the people who would pretend they wanted a relationship, but they don't really. They just want to, hook up or whatever. And it's just kind of like, well, why? You're just wasting both of our times by doing that.
Yeah, exactly. I think on your point, it's definitely like cis men. I just think they're just like, I don't want to use the H word, but I think they're just like filthier.
Yeah.
Like to the point they're like, I just find them like pure filth. Like I get like messages, I'm like, what if your mother read this?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
would send your poor parents or grandparents into a cardiac arrest.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of links with what we were talking about at the beginning. Like, it is toxic masculinity that
Mm,
they feel entitled to you to being able to talk to people like that. And it's interesting to see, like, from your perspective, as a gay man, like, seeing that it's not just women that they talk to like that.
it tends to be like the cis man targeting people, much like many things in society.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, uh, not, uh, yeah. I don't, yeah. I can't even.
Did they get a bit too deep there?
Yeah, no, no. The thing is, it is, and people can say hashtag not all men, but to an extent it is, because whilst you can be actively not being like that, it's things like, okay, so if you saw if your male friend was to send you a screenshot of a funny conversation he's had with someone, and it's something that's really horrible, really objectifying, would you be like, okay, dude, like, you shouldn't have done that, or would you laugh? You know?
Yeah,
And it's kind of, it's just, they're encouraged to be like that, um, to the point where it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't even just stay at doing that to women. They do it to other men. And that kind of
yeah.
blows my mind a little bit.
It's
Like,
like
it's
that.
the
Yeah,
audacity.
the nerve, the gumption.
Yeah.
But no, like it's interesting. Like it's like that kind of like harassment leaks into like our community, but as such, like I've been harassed myself in the streets. I've been called everything under the sun.
Yeah.
Even when I was just purely going to like a train station or something, like I've had people shout things from their cars. But no, it's just like I'm trying to think how to put it. It's like with the not all men thing, like I agree with your point. Like even though I'm a cis man myself, like I somewhat take responsibility of like addressing the situation, like even talk about the case of Sarah Everard earlier, and like acknowledging that like we need to talk more about this and how to make women feel safe.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
and I think
yeah, go
go
on.
go on. Sorry, no, it's all right. Go on.
Okay. But yeah, it's just like the point of like even just having a conversation about it, like we just did, like is like the first step towards any active change, really.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say
Oh,
actually.
okay.
That yeah, that it doesn't have to be this big thing, and it's not going to be an overnight change. But I think with any kind of issue, like social issue,
Hmm.
giving a voice to the people that are actively affected by whatever it is, and being open to being educated on the topic, that's like the first and probably easiest thing that you can do.
Yeah, definitely. Like, yeah, especially with a lot of like social like change, like especially like Black Lives Matter, like that certainly opened up like the communications and like stuff of like how to like deal with this, and like from like protests and like even just like talking to like your parents or like your friend about like the
Yeah,
matter. Like just like you said, it's gonna be it's a long journey, these things, when it comes to like social like activism, but doing like small things like talking to someone or even like attending like a march like are like small but sure ways that like something is changing.
yeah, definitely. And I think, not being ignorant to the fact that these things um exist within your own community. So, like how you said, it still affects the LGBTQ plus community. Because this kind of toxic masculinity does feed into how gay men treat each other, how people treat bi people, how people treat trans people. It veins through all of it. But I think it's easy for a lot of people to be like, well, I'm gay or I'm trans, so none of that is gonna be part of my life because I'm a minority. But it's like, yeah, but the way that you might treat people is exactly how you're accusing cis men of treating people. If you get what I'm trying to say, I don't think I worded that well, but it's kind of just acknowledging how you as an individual act and treat people, and acknowledging that these issues aren't just specified to one group of people.
Yeah, definitely. Like going back to your point on like gay men being like ignorant of like trans people, like I've seen like tweets when it comes to like pride saying like, oh, why should I have to celebrate trans people when it's not even like me? I'm just like, bro, we're in a community together. Like
Yeah,
it's like that's the more or less like the foundation of like our community. And like, as like after like Marsha P. Johnson threw the first brick at Stonewall, like a trans like person, like it's just
yeah,
like know your history before like you slate people, especially within your
yeah,
own community, instead of just like accumulating like a solid opinion, even though like you have nothing to back that up.
yeah. It's like turfs as well. Um, like what's the name? J.K. Rowling,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and it's just like it's exhausting because trans rights are women's rights. Like why are you trying to other yourself from people that have things in common with you, if you get what I mean? I don't understand that. Even even on TikTok, I've seen videos of people saying that you can't be a lesbian if you're dating a trans woman, or that bisexual women are actually lesbians, but the patriarchy makes you think that you're attracted to men. So you're kind of invalidating a whole sexuality by saying that. And it's just, I don't get the point. Um, I don't get the point of, I don't get that mindset at all. And I just don't get the point in trying to discriminate people that are in the same community as you.
Yeah, it just makes me think like what, like who or what taught you to be this way, really?
Yeah,
But then you have like things that like like religion is often an excuse, or like education, or like how people were brought up. But like you can always like educate yourself instead of like having people telling you flat out this is how you should treat people that are like this.
yeah, because that's like a thing that's been really bothering me recently, is that, you know, Google is free. If you genuinely want to learn about something, you can Google it. Like I've been I feel so in so many arguments recently on TikTok in the comments,
Hmm.
and people just being like deliberately ignorant to things that I'm like, and then it gets to the point where I'm like, I'm not even going to argue with you anymore, because no matter what I say to you, you're not going to listen because you're not willing to listen. Um, like the other week, I got into an argument with well, people got in an argument with me, I should say, about it was about braids, and the original video was about, basically the woman was saying the history of braids and why it's offensive if white people wear this specific kind of braids. And oh my, the comments are just, the comments are horrible. And I commented something, and then I had loads of people being like, how is it offensive? Um, saying the typical, well, Vikings used to wear braids. It's not the same kind of braids. And I'll be saying that you can't have pigtails in your hair. I don't understand the argument of that. But it's just things that like, why is it offensive? How is it offensive? I'm like, first of all, watch the original video. She explained it. You probably didn't even watch it.
Hmm.
And second of all, it's kind of that expectation of, oh, okay, you're talking about racism against black people, you're black, you have to educate, you have to know everything about it, and you have to educate me on it. Oh, we're talking about LGBTQ plus rights. Oh, you're gay, you must know everything about it, you have to educate me about it, rather than me being an adult and educating myself on topics that I don't understand. And that is just ignorant to me, and it's those people that I'm like, you're never going to change your mind, so there's literally no point in me trying to educate you in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Like even though like the main reason why I've created this podcast series really is like the idea of like expressing like thoughts and ideas that are like prominent in our community, like not only
Yeah,
just LGBTQ plus, but like in Birmingham as well, and like sharing the experiences that we've had in Birmingham. But like the main thing that I aspire to do, and I'm sure you do the same in your work with like music diversity, like we want to shed light on people that don't get the light like
yeah.
pointed on them. Like we both aspire to be as diverse and inclusive as possible, because in a world where like Piers Morgan shouts at someone that was clearly having a
Oh
horrible
no.
time and wants to kill
Yeah,
herself,
yeah,
and you get people like petitioning for him to come back, we need safe spaces essentially for people that don't feel ridiculous in how they feel or how they are as a person.
yeah, definitely. I think, one of the things that has kind of pushed me in the work that I do, and like you said yourself, is be the kind of representation that you wish you had. And I think that is really important, because especially in media, when you, like you said, when you do have people like Piers Morgan who are given prime time slots on national television that are there to basically brainwash the audience, um you do need these other outlets, no matter how small, we do need them. They are needed, because if not, everything will be the Daily Mail being racist and sexist and just awful. It will be things like how the discussion of conversion therapy being banned, like that was on the news yesterday for about 30 seconds. It wasn't even explained properly what it was. It was just kind of like, oh, Keir Starmer said he would ban it, but the Tories are saying, oh, we're going to put an end to it, but not ban it, you know. Because if it wasn't for podcasts like this and different platforms, people aren't going to know about the important things.
I mean, this is prominent in I say my community, you're in it as well. But but it's the fact of like this like came to light for me when Black Lives Matter was like on the like out there. But it's the fact of like people in like our community saying like I'm trying to think how to put it. Preference, that's it, like of like being with like not dating a black person is like a preference. Like
Yeah.
loads of like micro racist like comments like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, yeah, that definitely goes to colorism, stereotypes, like so many different things, because I don't understand how you could say, I don't find any person from a particular race attractive, and I don't understand how you can say that that's not racist. I get preference in terms of, oh, I usually mainly date white guys, but if you're to say I would never date anyone who's black or who is Asian or whatever, that is racist, because they not everybody of the same race looks the same. So how can you say you'll never find them attractive?
Exactly. Like a preference is like hair color, not someone's skin color.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
like that quote. It's just
No, yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think if anybody says that, the perfect like reply is just to be like, okay, why? Why do you have that preference then? Why do you not find black people attractive? And what will probably come out is like a lot of stereotypes, and or they'll probably just be like, I just don't. Yeah, but why? You know, just keep questioning them on it, because it will come back to something racist 100%.
Oh, definitely. It'll either just be like flat out ignorance and they have nothing to back it up, or it just stems from like a stereotype.
Yeah, or it would be like, oh, I dated the black guy once and he was horrible, so that means I'm gonna be racist towards a whole group of people because of this one experience.
So it's just ridiculous, really. So yeah, I completely lost my point. Unless you want to add anything, I've completely forgot my point.
No, I think everything has been discussed.
I mean, we've veered off into Piers Morgan, Meghan
Yeah,
Markle, the
I mean,
works.
you can't be in the UK right now and not discuss Piers Morgan.
Even though you don't deserve any of the limelight, but you just
No,
can't help it because he's a
yeah.
vile human. But no, I think that's everything we got time for, really. So massive thank you for being my first guest.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. Do you have anything you want to plug? Promotional
Uh,
opportunity?
yeah, so I'm working on a music zine at the moment called Tear It Down. You can find it on Instagram at Tear It Down Zine, and it's for people of colour, women, LGBTQ plus people in alternative rock and metal music spaces. So, and we're looking for contributors at the moment as well.
Yeah, so you lot watching better reply. Otherwise, you'll hear off me. The flag, see, even the flag is furious over that. The flag wants you to apply to help lovely Simone here.
Thank you.
The
That was
flag took
perfect
so much
timing.
offense. It really was perfect time. But no, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you the next episode.